Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Interjections podcast, the Undiscovered Decade, as we call it. It's a podcast where we go over the films of the 1990s and mine them for some hidden gems. This month was actually a little difficult. We had looked at the calendar and saw that it was a bit sparse in June, where we thought maybe we'll do Batman Returns in a similar homage that we'd done at the beginning of the podcast to stuff like Back to the Future Part 3 or Hunt for Red October, where there were bigger films that still have a following, but at the time were a little bit of a hidden gem. But we ended up finally figuring out we might as well stick with what we know. Two guys in a bad situation, whether one of them caused it or not. We also found it fortuitous because we get to pay homage to one of our favorite actors. The film we're covering this month is Unlawful Entry, which stars Ray Liotta. The technical plot, he's actually a villain in it. It is one of the more sinister turns he has. But the basic thing is a couple has a home invasion and Ray Liotta comes in and is the cop that helps cover the initial investigation. The couple is played by Madeleine Stowe and Kurt Russell, another of our favorite actors. And Ray Liotta gets a little too close to Madeleine Stowe and starts stalking her and
but like
inserting himself into like, Kurt's life.
And he plays it off like pretty well. Like you think, like, no, he's just a nice guy.
He's a charming fellow.
But like the only person that's onto him is Kurt Russell's character. He's like, wait, hold up.
It's one of the original gas.
Probably crosses a line.
Yeah, crosses quite a few lines.
The thin blue line, some might say. This is before cops really got a bad reputation like they have nowadays. This is like,
it was interesting. I
felt oddly timely.
I saw a review that Roger Ebert put out where he's like, it's interesting. No one's really tackled this side of police work before. So it's almost like Ebert saw that it was prescient.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this movie would be great for a re-release today.
Yeah.
Well, didn't they do something similar with Samuel L. Jackson?
Like Harris.
Yeah. Wasn't it kind of the same deal?
Kind of. It was more race-based.
And he's not hitting on Patrick Wilson's wife.
That's true.
But it is a similar feel for sure.
Yeah.
So
this is way more effective than Lakeview Terrace. So.
Yeah, I never got
this was.
No,
okay.
You don't have to.
I you know it's weird. I probably watched this as a kid way earlier than I probably should have, but
That explains so much.
Those movies, but I remember even as a kid having a visceral reaction to this movie. Just I admire the craft behind it. But at the same time, it gets me so mad.
Really?
It manipulates your emotions so much because you're like, can somebody just believe Kurt Russell for a moment here? Does anybody have a brainstem in this? Please, God, they know he's unhinged. And then as the movie progresses and Ray Liotta's character becomes more and more unraveled to the point where he's like, spoiler, killing his partner. You're just like, oh God, I wish somebody would pump the brakes on this because you feel yourself in the Kurt Russell.
Yeah. Well, that's the interesting thing. Each of these characters kind of thinks it's possible, but they're like, well, he's such a nice guy. Why would he be awful? Like the partner even is like, what am I going to do? Tell HR and then they're going to slap him with a day suspension? Like it's not that big of a deal. He'll be fine. He just needs some rest, maybe. I don't know.
I feel like this movie.
Yeah.
I feel like this movie was the beginning of a lot of people's distrust in cops.
Well,
when did this happen? Was this before or after like the Watts riots and all that?
It's after.
After,
yeah. We talked about that last year, right?
Yeah.
Around Boys in the Hood, because that came out a week after the Watts riots.
Yeah.
So
yeah, around this time, I guess cops were starting to have a little more of an ambiguous relationship with the public. At
least in the media,
yeah, as the media is concerned. So yeah. At the beginning when he's investigating, he's genuinely concerned, like he's a good Samaritan.
Yeah, and he's got like all these security measures in place. Like he I guess knows a security contractor or something. So like a lot of the main plot comes from after the first invasion. You know, the Ray Liotta's character convinces Kurt Russell to install the security system that, of course, like Ray Liotta knows how to use. He knows the passcode. He knows all of this stuff, and they're just supposed to trust him.
It's a pyramid.
Right. Exactly. And then, in the beginning, though, I felt suspicious about Ray Liotta from the beginning, just because like they show
Ray Liotta.
They show weird singles of him. So I'm like, okay, something's up with this guy, but I wasn't sure if it was going to be like he has, a past with the wife or something, and that it was going to be like, right, exactly. But then, as he just tries getting closer to this family, and then he takes Kurt Russell on a ride along, where he suspiciously finds the guy that broke into the house in the beginning, and rather than like arrest him, he's like, you want me to beat the shit out of him? Because I'll beat the shit out of him.
Like demonstrating abuse of power.
Yeah. He's like, look what I can do. This is cool, right? And I could do this to you if I wanted to. So, what are you going to do?
You would kill him if you got a chance, didn't you?
Yeah.
Didn't you?
Yeah.
Careful what you wish for, buddy, because it's right here.
It's funny. Tristan and I were talking about this before the podcast a few days ago. We were watching older Ray Liotta movies, and this is almost like a throwback role to his first big screen movie, which was Something Wild, where he initially plays like this character you're not quite sure about, but then as you get to know him, he has his very violent tendencies to him, and he turns out to be a psychopath, which it seems like Ray Liotta got kind of typecast in the 90s.
A little bit, yeah. A lot of his early roles
branched out.
Psychopath. Though that movie, Something Wild, is the only time he got any awards recognition. He got a Golden Globe nomination and never got an Oscar nomination for stuff.
I think for Goodfellas.
Just never got his due, I guess.
Yeah.
But either way, yeah. I mean, we're giving it now. He definitely had a career full of important character roles or leading man stuff that kind of got buried by the time. Maybe it got overshadowed by whatever it was up against.
Yeah.
It's
funny how at the beginning of the movie they try to make Kurt Russell's character a little unsympathetic just because he's a workaholic.
Yeah. And also like
that's the greatest sin
upscale yuppie, like working, like his business is building clubs essentially, real estate. So like, how like it's not going to be easy for the audience to be like, oh yeah, no, he's a hero type.
You know what? And then this was around the time after the 80s where everybody was like, that yuppie lifestyle, I don't condone that.
Not for me.
No. So anybody who's a yuppie or a waspy, automatically you're just like, I don't know if I trust this person.
Yeah. I do also think, I don't know if race technically had anything to play in this, especially given it's like a year after the watch riots. But I would think that a lot of audience that would go see this might be white. And so you'd inherently trust like, oh, it's a cop. He's the good guy, And then they placed him with a black partner.
Yeah.
So that you're like, well, he condones it. I don't know if that was an intentional thing.
But like,
well, it's kind of like when we were talking about Boys in the Hood, and the one black partner is like, he was actually more harsh than the white cop,
right?
Yeah.
About calling for like insignificant reasons.
But I was gonna say, like, along with like the audience, like, we're like, oh yeah, white cop, good guy, but like white cop with blonde hair, blue eyes, like the ideal aesthetic of the white man.
He's too.
This is a white cop with black hair and pockmarks.
Yeah.
And like when he commits like really bad shit, his partner's not around. So like if his partner was around, maybe he would have been able to correct that behavior.
Yeah.
But like
Ray Liotta's bad.
Ray Liotta's character is clearly a psychopath. He knows to hide it.
Yeah.
That's what's so manipulative about. That's what gets you so angry throughout most of the movie. Because like what was in this situation.
I mean, by the time anyone else can do anything about it, like I was going to bring up the lawyer. There's a guy always going around with Kurt Russell helping him with his business deals. He doesn't really, he thinks, okay, well, what are you going to do about a guy that's like following you around? He said, you guys kind of said you were friends. can't really do anything about it. Also, he's a cop. Who are you going to go to? The cops?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, so he doesn't get to do anything until Kurt Russell's in jail and framed. It's
Yeah, and that was the level that this got to. Like, it started off as just like a security system scam, and then got into like he put in all of these phony parking tickets in the police system, and there's a boot on his car, and then he gets framed for narcotics. And it's like, what the hell? Like, then you have to wonder, like, what kind of power Ray Liotta has, like what his past was to get to this point.
Or maybe like the horrifying thing for the audience was like knowing that, like, yeah, sure, Ray Liotta's character has this power that he's clearly abusing, but imagine how many cops out there are doing this in real life.
Don't piss off a cop.
Yeah.
But it's funny. There's a scenario in the movie where you're just like, I could see his character breaking good at one point. Well, in a way, because he's with that prostitute, and you're like, if he just focused his attention on her and got her off the streets, maybe they would have a successful relationship. But no, towards the end of that scene, he just basically calls her a whore and disposes of her.
Leaves her in the middle of nowhere.
I don't think she was an actual hooker. I think she was just
No?
some chick that like gave her his number or gave him her number when she deliberately was speeding earlier in the movie to get his attention.
Yeah, I think you're supposed to wonder a little, but just because he's calling her a whore doesn't mean she actually.
Well, I mean,
you're
it's
right.
just a-
Maybe I'm just going by what
because
he's.
she was a whore doesn't.
It's
mean she's a
definitely-
prostitute. Just because you're a prostitute doesn't well you're a whore.
It's a momentary lapse where you're supposed to see, like, you know, he can easily flip a switch.
Yeah.
Like, just how easily this guy could just be sent over the edge and be like, you know, to hell with you. I'm gonna go do whatever.
I mean, even from the beginning of that scene, he's clearly not enjoying himself. So
I don't know. I do think, though, that this movie has a more convincing descent into madness with the villain than American Psycho. Like, it's just like you can see, because you like, he's weird in the beginning, but like
he's just overzealous with police work. You know?
Right, but then it becomes more
Sinister.
tragic and sinister when, like, you realize, along with Kurt Russell's character, that what are you going to do? You keep telling his superior officers they don't believe you, and even if they did, what are they going to do?
Yeah, there's no system in place to help.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
There's a whole subgenre.
Doesn't seem like there is really anyway.
You know, he almost reminds you of Psy from 1 Hour Photo in a way.
Yeah.
There's no help for these people that are off the edge. You're just like, I guess, avoid them.
Right.
I also wanted to point out the three people that don't necessarily believe Kurt at first were the lawyer, the partner, and his own wife, Madeleine Stowe. She doesn't necessarily not believe him, but I think she's putting up a front that's like, well, just be nice to him. She's always like, just don't rile him up. Just it's a position that women are often put in where it's like, just ignore it and he'll go away.
He's trying to diffuse
thing.
it.
And so her performance ends up being a lot subtler, but I think it's just as important that you think, well, maybe she's in agreement with him, but like, what is she gonna do that Kurt Russell can't either?
I mean, the good thing is the movie doesn't turn her into like a damsel in distress. She does start, she fights back towards the end. So
right.
They could have made her a prop.
Right.
For the movie's sake.
Mm-hmm. You might have
not necessarily a prop, because then, like I said, this also, you know, I think at one point you're meant to believe that she and Ray Liotta did have a past.
Right, possibly.
But
You're
it's
meant to
really just
think
like he's going.
up.
Yeah.
He's misinterpreting signals from her.
Oh yeah. He's definitely getting mixed reviews there.
He's clearly like not thinking straight, doing a lot of bad idea stuff.
Well, he's
like
jumping to conclusions, like over the entire pool that they met next to. So he's already like planning their wedding when she's happy to have him over for dinner a second time, maybe.
Right.
Her husband. So
You know what else? This movie feels authentically LA based.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been to LA, but I've seen it depicted in movies, and I know you've been there.
I just went there. In
I
fact,
was gonna say
we drove past that elementary school where her friend Penny teaches, and she's a teacher
Yeah.
too,
all
right?
right, yeah.
So, I didn't remember.
Yeah,
it.
they kinda like
I
gloss
looked up
over.
because they have the locations online. I was like, oh, I wonder if that was near where we were.
Yeah, I mean, it seems
least one
really seedy throughout most of the movie.
Yeah. We didn't go to that underpass where he knocked the whore out of his car.
No.
Well,
We
did you
don't
go
know
to
that she's a
the
whore.
did you go to the restaurant or the outdoor restaurant where they were eating food for the ride along scene?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that was just the observatory. That was like a caved in portion of it.
It was weird. I think this is the movie where everybody's like, Kurt cut his hair.
Oh yeah.
This is like one of the first movies where like, oh, did Kurt lose some of his Samson power? He cut his hair real short.
Did he have long hair in Backdraft?
You know what? Probably not.
Until it got burned off.
Yeah.
Yeah, his mullet got burned off.
Got singed.
Yeah. Because I was thinking that's what he's coming off of. So he has a little bit of a star power, but that was more of an ensemble, right? So there's
Sure, yeah.
not just Kurt in that, but this is like the first thing he does. There's one small movie in between this and Goodfellas for Ray Liotta, but this is essentially like their next big project for their big early 90s films. So it's like the coming together of two big powerhouses.
Mm-hmm. There's also a cameo by Jimon Hansu.
Oh yeah, basically his first film.
Yeah.
They didn't have a line. But when Kurt Russell is booked, there's another two people sitting on the bench with him, and one of them is Jimon Hunsu, who isn't even, it's just Jimon in the credits.
Yeah.
He doesn't, he's just an is it eponym? What's it mononym? When you just have one name.
Monomial?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that was kind of interesting. I always liked him. Would have been cool if he actually had a part in it.
Weird thing, they got James Horner to do the soundtrack. It's actually really good.
This is the third film we've done with James Horner as a soundtrack. And there are two more, I think. I looked ahead. Two more this year. So we apparently like James Horner stuff.
Yeah.
Or maybe we just like the movies.
That happened to be what he
Could be a coincidence.
Yeah.
It's not like we have soundtracks of his. He's like,
ahead, yeah.
oh man, this beat was
we
so
gotta
good.
do Death Becomes It. Yeah. Yeah, it was good. I don't think this is as impactful as some of the other stuff we've listened to.
No.
Yeah.
But it was standard.
It's a pot
Yeah.
boiler, but it's extremely well done. And as a movie that wants to manipulate your emotions, I think it's very effective.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly didn't think about the soundtrack too much, or the.
I thought about it more towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
More towards the end with the set piece inside the house.
Yeah.
And this is one of those movies where it's like, if the main villain was to just get arrested, you'd be like, oh, that
Yeah.
was deflating.
You want the
Yeah.
fight.
You need the comeuppance to be very violent.
Oh yeah.
It's funny.
There's no redemption for this character.
There is a similar thing that happens. It's not exactly the same, but it reminded me a bit of Something Wild, because there was a fight at the end of that with Ray Liotta and Jeff Daniels in a house. So it's staged a little similarly, but enough that it's not a copy. It's just kind of fun.
But you have like the milquetoast hero going up against the ruffian villain.
Right.
Like but he's the alpha male. How's he gonna fight him?
Right.
With just pure grit and determination.
And it's funny that they try to emasculate Kurt Russell. And it's like, we've seen him in other stuff where he's been pretty masculine.
Right.
They just gave him glasses. That's how you make him.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the trick.
Yeah.
Just a handsome, nerdy guy with glasses, dressed like a yuppie. Yeah, he's not tough.
Mm-hmm.
Not like we could see his muscle tone in his neck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or when he's or that sex scene where he's shirtless.
Yeah.
Yeah, you saw it there.
Yeah.
But one other thing, I like how right before the finale, the final fight, the lawyer that's also the friend of Kurt Russell, he has a similar fate to another guy that we've seen recently or on the show, the Invisible Man.
Oh, Memoirs of an Invisible
Oh,
Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
The lawyer friend.
The lawyer friend who came in a
Michael
pinch.
McKean is just like, oh, I don't know where he went. I was driving the whole time.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Like the buddy that just like,
Yeah.
and it's funny also like he's off on the side. Like he's a, like sort of like the lawyer in this movie is aware of what's going on.
He's like, I don't know
the
what to
whole
do.
time, essentially.
Yeah.
So
Whereas the friend and
Michael McKean.
yeah.
The
He
moral-
he just like he's okay. I'll just
Yeah.
run with it.
I gotta pretend
like,
I'm you. Why
yeah.
not?
The moral of these 90s movies then,
Like,
trust your lawyers, don't trust cops.
Yeah.
They're your best friend.
Right.
Maybe your only friend.
Right. These big powerhouse business
It's
dudes.
like this is a
and
movie.
like he would like he put a pulled a more like he put his house on the line to bail him out of jail too.
That's true.
Yeah.
That
like,
man,
and,
that
like,
man has a soft spot for this client.
Another similarity, like this guy, like none of the violence ever affected the lawyer friend at all.
No.
But like,
He gives
Kurt,
him like, sorry, Kurt.
but like Kurt Russell's wife in the movie, oh my god, great! Like her best friend is dead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Little rough.
yeah. She gets like violent, like traumatized because of violence at the beginning of the movie, and
She's
then
never
like
gonna be able to open a closet again.
yeah,
Yeah.
violence at the beginning of the movie, and then like her friend's dead, and then like her husband's like fighting for their lives
Yeah. She
against a cop.
She wanted to move in the beginning. I don't think they're gonna be able to live in that house anymore.
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah,
this is
no.
the movie where you can't have a coda at the end because now he's on trial for murder. So he might still go to jail.
yeah.
Yeah, this isn't a happy ending.
No.
Yeah, no, this is just two people getting traumatized for ever.
Yep.
they-
I was gonna bring up the director just because we don't really know him that well, but it was kind of cool. This is his third best known film, actually. Jonathan Kaplan also had directed The Accused a year before.
I was gonna say he likes movies about rape.
He got Jodie Foster an Oscar, and then got Michelle Pfeiffer an Oscar nomination later this year for a movie I've never heard of called Love Field. Have you seen that?
No.
Yeah. So he kind of just faded away because he made these three films and a couple other things.
But you know what?
He was a producer on ER.
He
Yeah.
actually did. He did one of my favorite blaxploitation movies, which is Truck Turn.
Oh, you heard of that? Okay.
It's a great movie.
Yeah,
It was fun.
that's cool. I'd seen The Accused. That's good. Might actually like this better. But he was an eight.
He likes movies where he plays you as a Stradivarius.
Right. Yeah. I think he had a straightforward type of shooting style, but I think he
You know what?
picked movies he was interested in that would be thrilling to audiences. So
Broke Down Palace is another movie about being gaslighted into a jail sentence. Broke Down Palace. He did
that too. I never saw that.
which is kind of like if anybody saw Return to Paradise with Vince Vaughn and Joaquin Phoenix, it's a similar plot. But again, it's somebody being gaslighted into a jail sentence. You're just like, God, these movies are very rabble rousing.
Yeah, I remember seeing the trailer to Broke Down Palace and thinking, I don't want to see this. I don't want to imagine that happening to me.
Yeah, I
I
know.
don't
It's
want to
uncomfortable.
travel to a.
He likes to put the
Like,
audience
get
in
in
uncomfortable
trouble.
situations.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would give
technically,
this,
when you go to a different state, you might as well be in a different country that you could get in trouble in.
It's true.
That's true.
You don't know what you could get in trouble for something that would be minor here, but extremely bad over
You
there.
can't
Well,
sneeze.
just like Midnight Express.
Wait, you can't sneeze in
Yeah, there's some
Oklahoma?
like archaic law about like sneezing. You're not supposed to do it in public. Something. I don't know if this is a old wives' tale, but I remember thinking that and then holding on to it when I read a book as a kid of like weird laws. So,
I
so be
imagine,
careful in Oklahoma.
Careful in other countries.
but like, that's an agricultural state.
It's like I think it's partly like you're supposed to cover your mouth. You're supposed to have handkerchiefs because that's what they had back then. And then the law was just never taken off the book. So
I wonder if it was because of Spanish flu.
could have been because if I remember correctly, it was like 1890. So
1890. Okay, maybe not
before
Spanish
that,
flu.
I don't know.
Well,
This
like-
is something I read as like a 6-year-old. So we were digressing. Very far.
I would definitely give it a B. It's not a movie I can go back and watch too often because even for me, it's kind of nihilistic. But
yeah, this isn't a rewatchable.
This is not a feel-good movie.
Yeah.
No.
Well, honestly, it wasn't meant to be a feel-good movie.
No,
I give it an A because I was thrilled because it was kind of a thriller. So
true.
Or yeah.
Yeah, I think I might have given it a B mostly on my hype about getting to see a couple Ray Liotta movies this month.
Sure.
If I went into that, I saw Something Wild for the first time. I saw this. Did I watch anything else? Oh, I'd seen Many Saints in Newark recently because that came out back in September. So
yeah,
I was on a little bit of a kick, so I think that pushed it up. And I love all three of their performances, the main actors. But I don't know if the movie is going to be one of my favorites.
It's no Operation Dumbo Drop. So what do you think, Jeff?
I mean, I have to agree with somewhere in between. I think it's like a B plus because I agree it's not really rewatchable, but it was very, very, very well done. There's a very fine line with a lot of those 80s thriller movies where it just seems cheesy at the end, and it's just like there was no overarching like synth music or anything that made it feel weird, and especially that fight at the end, it was a visceral comeuppance that so I'm going to change it. It's an A. It's solid A.
Oh, there you go. Sometimes when we discuss these things, the grade either upgrades or goes down. So
yeah, you guys won me over a little bit more than I would have. I actually was going to have it lower.
Oh, yeah.
The movie at the end gave a very traditional 90s horror trope.
He won't stay dead.
He won't stay dead.
Yeah.
Pops back up for one last scare for the audience.
Yeah.
And then boom, he's dead.
Right.
It's a 90s classic, I think.
I will give it this too, because they set that up with the cat. I thought the cat was gonna get murdered. So I didn't think it was gonna be the best friend.
That's rule one from like Alien. The cat never dies.
Well, I guess the
cat
dog always dies. The cat
dogs
doesn't.
die, not cats.
Yeah. Huh. Well, another cat showed up in a big film this month, right, Corey?
A bat, a cat, and a penguin showed up this month. It's Batman Returns, a highly contested entry in the Batman franchise. Me personally, might be my favorite.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's mine.
I think
just rewatched it.
You and I might feel the same way. It's weird that because the movie's set around Christmas and there's so much snow, it's weird to think that it came out in June.
I've always wondered, did Tim Burton intend for this to come out later? And maybe they told him it was going to come out in Christmas 91 or even Christmas 92, and they just stuck it in June. Because why would he do that? Did he just go on and do whatever he wanted?
It feels like the studio saw it and was like,
I think with a movie like that is meant to be a summer blockbuster.
Yeah,
because they want the kids to come out and rewatch the movie.
Well, it's not like it could be a Christmas release because families couldn't go see this thing, even though there was toys based on this. Because again, this might be one of the darkest entries.
I think it's just because of the penguin that there's snow, so it's supposed to feel that way merely only because of that.
Right. But this is the one where Tim Burton got a lot of carte blanche because the first one was such a huge blockbuster. They said, you know what? We give you credence to do whatever you want. And to some people like myself and you, that's a blessing. To other people, they think he went way too far with the mature adult themes. That's what other people say. I've heard.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
It's mostly
I've heard
people were our age back then, not really liking Batman to begin with, or having the Adam West idea in their head. It's what results in the Joel
Adam West
Batman, because they wanted more of that, and so the studio heads that were that age thought that's what they would rather have. So when Batman in '89 was a little campy, they thought, okay, we did it right, but we wanted like a mix. and then Tim Burton went further dark. When he went darker, they didn't like that, and it shifts back to campy later.
Right.
I think that's why there were some poor reactions to begin with, and those reviews come out from that.
Yeah.
Well, we got the animated series.
I think the kids love it.
Yeah.
You know, like people are.
I loved it when I was a kid. In fact, I even remember thinking, this is even better than the original.
Yeah.
I think that Danny Elfman's score is amazing.
Yeah.
That beginning is like probably one of my favorite openings to a movie ever. And
also, it is pretty funny that Tim Burton or the writers, at least, were they the same as the?
It's Daniel Waters. He's the guy that did Heathers.
Yeah, he didn't do the first Batman, right? He just did Batman Returns. So it's funny because Tim Burton sees that and is like, "We got to get this guy for this movie," and he comes up with the Trump-esque character. Even then, he knew it would be like this, where he's going to try and win office, because he even tried back then in an independent party. So I think it was just a metaphor that they never thought would actually get as far as the presidency. So it's interesting to see now the parallels between Shrek and Trump. Right. And think that it was prescient, but it was always that way. So, and it's funny because they make him seem worse than Penguin and Catwoman in such an outlandish type of town.
Yeah, Christopher Walken.
Yeah, like all the people dressed up in weird costumes are like, you think we're the villains? Look what this guy's doing in the economy. Come on.
Yeah.
I think the plot mostly revolves around pollution.
Yeah. Did you like Batman Returns, Jeff? What's your favorite Batman?
Oh, that's a whole other podcast discussion. But I did like Batman Returns. I was just looking up. I couldn't remember which one Kiss from a Rose was from. Is that Forever? That was Forever. Okay.
Forever.
Yeah. No, I liked Batman Returns. My favorite one for a while, before Batman Begins came out, was actually
Robin.
It was Batman and Robin. Or no, which one had Freeze? Which one had Freeze? Was that Batman and Robin? I was also like 9 when it came out, so.
Oh, come on.
Hey, I
bright colors
Forever because it was the first one I saw. And later, like a year or two later, I saw Batman and then Batman Returns. So I caught up and I can tell they're better. But I have a soft spot for Forever because it was the first time I'd seen it.
So you have a soft spot for Forever?
Yeah.
I remember at one point, which one was the Riddler in?
Forever.
That was Forever. Yeah. Okay.
And now
the new Batman.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, no, because I remember I was obsessed with Jim Carrey as a kid, and I made when I was in Scouts, I made like a Pinewood Derby card that was just like, it was just Jim Carrey's head on like a bright green body.
Yeah.
This explains a lot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, that was, we can get into a whole thing about that. I was very sad about his post Sonic 2 press, announcement.
Oh, that he's retiring?
Yeah. He'll come back for the third one.
Allegedly.
Oh, yeah. If you give him money. Well, I don't know. He buried his check to the mask in his father's grave. So
yeah.
It's not really about money.
What a fella.
Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah.
Forever is why Tommy Lee Jones is my favorite actor.
Really?
Well,
I actually liked him in Forever.
There's a movie next month that I also saw around 92 that we'll talk about. I can say it now, but Blown Away. So I saw Blown Away before I even saw Batman Forever. So I think it's more Blown Away that I like for him.
He's campy in both of those movies.
Yeah. And there's a weird connection. Irish people in both. So.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the U2 song. Anyway, we're talking about Batman Returns.
Right.
Michelle Pfeiffer turns in a career performance.
Every
nominated for this.
Every Catwoman's been compared to her, and I don't think they've ever
the standard.
I don't think they've ever exceeded her before or after.
You got the best suit.
She did have the best suit.
I had the poster on my wall As
Actually, the origin of her origin, that whole scene's great. But again, that goes along with the severely angry, surly tone of the movie, where she's breaking everything in her apartment. I can imagine kids in the theater being like, "What's going on? Why is that woman so mad, Mom?
Why doesn't she want to go out on Friday night?
I mean,
Doesn't she have a
honestly,
date?
like that's a good way to introduce.
Why does she look like she's
This
in
is what
red light
race
district,
looks like when
Mom?"
you've been driven mad. When you've been driven insane, children now know.
Yeah.
So when I see somebody throwing a hissy fit, like, yeah,
Oh, you didn't see Jurassic?
you're not Catwoman angry, so like things are all right. So you're not that angry. So I learned.
How about Danny DeVito biting someone's nose off?
I always thought that was funny. I could see why people were disturbed. Hey, you want
It
to go
just seemed like Danny
buy some
DeVito.
Hasbro toys?
Right. It just seemed like Danny DeVito at his natural state, honestly.
I mean, I was gonna say like something along those lines that and that like, you know, his character looked monstrous, so like why wouldn't he bite somebody's nose?
Well, that's the other thing. Like think about these other Batman movies, and it's like the villain is either incapacitated or they're jailed. Two of them die horrible fucking.
I also wanted to point out, when I first saw this, I realized that Batman didn't say anything in the first fight scene. He doesn't do like a kapow or anything. And I
Kills a couple.
paused it when he first speaks to Alfred. It's like 40 minutes into the film before Bruce Wayne says anything.
That's what everybody has said about this duology with Tim Burton, that he's not that interested in the title character.
Yeah.
But I think it's almost better that you don't have too much of him.
Yeah.
Because he's meant to be ambiguous. So
yeah.
More the origin story of the villains, it makes more sense.
Yeah, I think that's how you make a good Batman film. You take his rogues gallery and you reflect Batman on that.
Right. Also, I think
so that way you know what he's like. You set the tone for like what Batman has to put up with.
Mm-hmm.
Like the minimal dialogue he has in the first movie almost speaks more volumes than if he had long speeches. Like when he's when him and Vicky Vale are eating, and he's like, "I don't know if I've ever been in here," and she laughs, and he looks at her like, "I think I'm being serious."
Yeah. I'm reaching out to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely up there with his masterpieces.
Yeah.